Family, is Nomsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice and lead from within. With me today, I have Carol Ann Cooper. How are you, Carol Ann?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Yeah.
Awesome. It's good to have you today. And our topic today is unlocking relationship needs, the impact of writing our own story. So welcome to Ngosi Talk Show's channel. In this video, we're going to reveal the power of writing your own story in relationship, and we'll dive into the extraordinary impact that writing our personal narrative can have on our relationship. So join us today as we enlighten the journey, as we unlock the secret to understanding and meeting each other's core needs. Carol Ann, you chose this topic, and I'm sure the audience would like to know, even myself, I would like to know what was in your mind when you chose this topic, please.
Yeah, it's something I've been exploring because helping people write their story is what I do. But I found that actually in writing this story, it does impact relationships, and relationships come into it, and exploring those, and it does have an impact on there. So I started thinking and looking into, well, how does writing your story impact relationships? Because people don't often think of that angle when you're looking at relationship coaching. You know, you're wanting to be helped with relationships. How would writing your story help you with that? So that's where this has come about, this particular topic. So my frog is with us again. It's like, why does he keep turning up? He or she, this frog. But yes, certainly writing your story, it helps you to dive deeper and helps you to get to know yourself. So it's like, how, in what ways? It's quite a few ways. So yes, certainly exploring that has been quite an eye-opener, and helped me to dive deeper into it as well and understand another angle on the work that I do, and actually how I could perhaps present it, you know. So that's where it came from. That's how it came about. What were your thoughts when you saw it?
I was so happy that I saw the topic, because like you say, people, they don't really look at the impact of writing your own story, but that is the important part, the foundation of a relationship. Writing your own story, it means you communicate your needs, you communicate your desires. And if you don't write your own story, that means that relationship is not really going to be the relationship that is based on what you want. And also emotionally as well, you can be affected as well if you don't write your own story. It's more like reflecting, because when you're writing your own story, you write down things, you reflect in your personal insight, and you also communicate your desires. And I think the audience is very, very important. So the keys about this topic that Carol Ann have chosen is, when you are writing your own story, it actually it gives you to understand your needs in that relationship, and it also it helps you to uncover hidden and unexpressed needs that may have been overlooked, because we do overlook things, and it promotes a deeper understanding of yourself, your values, and your beliefs. And the list goes on. So as we go along, so I'll be explaining the keys that are important, why this topic is so important. And also, it helps you with your emotions, your vulnerability. And also, it actually it fosters honesty, because when you actually look at the topic, when you actually write your own story, writing your own story, we're not just talking about journaling, guys. We're talking about the foundation, all in all, in a relationship. So when you are in a relationship, you have to live based on your identity. Some people, they actually neglect their identity. That's what Carol Ann means by writing the story. Writing your own story, it means I'm going to communicate my needs. I'm going to communicate my desires. I am going to communicate, let my spouse understand my values. What do they mean in that relationship? But we overlook it, like as Carol Ann said, we don't take it serious. But then when the problems arises in that relationship, that's when you start like looking at each other. It's more like blame. The spouse will blame the other spouse, will blame the other one, and the other one will blame the other one. But like Carol Ann said, at Ngozi talk shows, coaching is different. We look at the foundation, the tree of the umbrella of a relationship. What makes a relationship work? What makes a good relationship? So those are the foundations. So then we start planting everything. Over to you, Carol Ann.
Yeah, agree with what you're saying there. And it certainly fosters, like that, we said, fosters honesty, because it is important to actually understand your needs. And we were saying it helps you to understand your needs, but why would you want to understand your needs? You know, and a lot of people don't really know what their needs are. So if you don't know what your needs are, how can you set boundaries? How can you communicate to your partner or to whoever you're working with? You know, whether it's a romantic relationship, or it's a friend, or it's a working relationship, you need to be able to communicate what your needs are, what your expectations are. And if you don't know what they are, then you can't communicate them. And that's a huge stumbling block. And it doesn't help you to be honest, because actually what's going on underneath isn't fully acknowledged. So you're not actually being authentic, because you're just not fully aware of what is going on for yourself. And this is where you probably feel uncomfortable. You know, something happens in a relationship that you're not comfortable with, but you can't quite express what it is. What is that discomfort? So actually being able to write about it helps you to dive into it at a deeper level. You get that by reflecting on it, by feeling into it. You get clarity, and it helps you to dive into your thoughts, your emotions and experiences. And you can get an idea of the patterns of behavior that go on, and what you find yourself doing that actually you don't want to do. And so by writing about it, there's something, by putting it into words, by expressing it, it dives even deeper. But it is the writing. It is about that actual action of giving everything, your story, putting it into words, going back, thinking about it, But actually the action of writing helps you to go even deeper. And then it brings up the emotions. It brings up the experiences. And it helps you to then go, oh, that's a pattern that's played out. I didn't express my needs there. So therefore, this is why this has happened. We've had an argument, we've fallen out, or things aren't working in the way that you want it to. You can then start to understand why. And you can start to understand your part in the fall down of the relationship. And that's a really powerful place to come from. But it is that action of writing it is really powerful. Because there's something more. It's not just about talking about it. Talking about it helps. But by actually writing it, there's something in the physical action that actually embodies it and helps it to come out from the physical body. So certainly, being able to identify recurring themes, conflicts, desires that have been going on, then you can write it out, get to know what it's about, and heal it. There's a healing that happens. You could then even rewrite the story. Say, well, this is what happens that you're actually acknowledging, and then rewrite it. How would you like it to be? Or coming from that deeper understanding of what your needs are, you can actually then write out, these are my needs. This is what I need to have happen. This is how I would like it to be. And again, by writing it out, just reinforces it. So it isn't just journaling, as Namsa said. Journaling is a really important activity you can do because that helps you to identify each day, just share what's going on. There's all sorts of journals that you can take, or that you can do, and in different ways. So that's just one activity that you can do, but actually writing your story, reflecting on different relationships, just picking up one relationship, writing about it in full. Doesn't mean you've got to share it to the world. It just helps you to really get clear on that relationship. And then pick another relationship. And I said it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic relationships. It could be relationships with friends, even to school. How were relationships there? Were you really aware of what your needs were? Were you able to express them and get them dealt with and have your needs met? Maybe there's some unmet needs that are still impacting you now. They're still causing you to behave in a certain way. So again, by writing, going back, thinking about different relationships, school, home, family, friends, take each one. It's not a, it's just a huge task. And it's not about writing everything in one go, because that gets too daunting. It's about exploring and reflecting on different ones. It helps you to just go that bit deeper and get to know yourself and your needs.
I 100% agree with you, Caroline, because it is very, very important to actually, when we are in a relationship, to understand how we behave with our family is how we're going to behave in our intimacy relationship. How we behave with everybody else, or friends and family, is how we're going to behave even at work. So when you're actually writing your own story, is very, very important to actually understand, and also the image. What image do you want? Not based on people, because sometimes when people write their own story, they write a story based on their friends. They write a story based on what their spouse, they believe their spouse want. You have to write your story based on your needs, and then your spouse, they have to enter that world, enjoy the world that has already been created, not the world that has been created and has been locked in. So you don't want to lock in your needs. You want to bring you out. You want your spouse to enjoy the real you. You want to, whether you have parents or siblings, you want them to enjoy the real you. Your friends, when you go out, you want them to enjoy the real you. You don't have to try to actually fit in with anybody. Just write your own story. Some people may not like it. It is normal. People might not like it when you're writing your own story, but the people that are meant to stay with you, they will stay with you if you write that authentic story, like what Carol Ann was saying. That is very, very important to keep your true authenticity. It's very, very important to actually ask yourself questions. And when you ask deep questions, the whole umbrella of relationship, you'll be able to actually live a fulfillment life. I write my own story, but through the process of writing my own story, there are some people that don't agree with my decision of writing my own story. But I'm happy with it. I don't get arrogant or make them wrong. Like Carol Ann always say, never make anyone wrong. I always let people say whatever they want. Trust me, I let them. But the good thing and the beauty of life is when somebody tells you what they think. If that is not the real you, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to defend yourself. You just have to receive the information and then ask yourself, does this information meant to go to your subconscious mind, or you need to delete? So you can delete it if it's not for you, and then move on. Let people assume what they assume, because people will, and then live the life that you believe is to be true. As long as you're not hurting anybody, because our needs are different. People don't understand that we are all created in a unique way. We're all different. Like here at Ngozi Talk Shows, we have different coaches, and our image, our personality, we all different. So for me, I do understand that our uniqueness, that's why they help us to stand out. So when you're creating your relationship, let your spouse know the real you. Let your spouse enter your world and get to know what makes you believe the things that you believe, what makes you get excited about things, and just let them enjoy. Because I think people, what they don't understand is when you let somebody get to know the real you, they enjoy that real you, because it shows them that life is a freedom. That means that you can design it how you want. You don't have to like go on social media and see somebody else is living this life and start like, what can my life be this? What can I just be this? Your destiny is there. You just have to recognize it. You just have to write your own story. When you're writing your own story, when it comes to relationship, I sometimes I get clients, they come to me, they're like, they get upset because they feel like relationship with life, it should be this and should be this. And then I'm sitting there, I listen, I'm laughing, I listen and I listen. And I'm like, okay, so this is the story. And then I ask questions and I'm like, would you mind to actually come back in a few weeks' time? Let's do the registration. I tell them the registration and I'm like, come back after a few weeks or after 2 weeks. When everything is calmed down, I'd like to have another chat on a Zoom and just see where things are. And then I would just manipulate them with my psychology and give them food for thought. Because life is beautiful. You can't go around and comparing your life with somebody else. So it's so beautiful. So I just put some few words of encouragement without them realizing. And in that moment, I'm giving them food for thought. That if Nomsa, she's so busy and she could be doing other things, but she's having time to actually listen to me. And then when they come back, it's like it's a different person. I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, oh no, so I just had to think about things. Or sometimes I give them YouTube channel and they're like, okay, there's a channel that I know. Go and have a look at this channel, our YouTube channel, and Ngozi Talk Shows. I'm like, go and have a look at this channel. There are some really good videos out there that you can listen. And if I know that they are watching or they are listening, I'll just say more and more to make them realize actually they are unique. Because writing your own story, it means you are actually holding the pen and just writing it. And when things are not working, you reflect, you stop, you reflect. What can I do different to make things work the way I want? And with your spouse, with your children, I teach my children a lesson. My oldest daughter, she go out writing her own story, and then she comes back, she expects me to be the bad guy and tell her off. And then when I go quiet, she's like, Mommy, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And she goes, oh, how come you're not telling me off? I'm like, we're telling you off for what? And she goes, I came home late. I'm like, who is writing the story here? You are writing your own story. So you need to learn to write your own story. What time does Mommy expect me to be at home? If I expect you to be at home at 7, why coming home at 9? So, and then I have to tell you off, or you expect me to tell you off and be the bad guy. I ain't gonna do that. That's not how I've raised you. So my daughter goes, you are so mean. I'm like, no, I'm not. That is not being mean. If you raise somebody, I'm like, I've raised you. I've told you the principles of life. And if you choose not to listen to Mommy and write your own story in a different way, I am just going to sit back and just enjoy my time with God and just pray for you. And you just have to rewrite your story how you're meant to write it, because your story is the journey where you need to be. And I also explained to her that when you do things or you naughty with your friends, don't expect me to tell your friends off. Because you have to write that story if you're with your friends and it's late, just say, Mommy expects me to be at home, guys. I see you tomorrow and I'm gonna be at home at this time. So you have to write it yourself. In that way, I'm teaching her not to blame people, because it's very, very easy to actually blame people. Can you imagine if she comes home late? Here is me yapping. Who ends up being the bad guy? It's me, because she's going to end up saying, oh, Mommy doesn't understand. So me, I just go quiet and I'm like, I'm going to teach this girl a lesson. Just go quiet. And then she's like, oh, is she going to talk? No. And then she'll go and find out, Mommy, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I am okay. I'm fine. I do that with her dad as well. And I'm like, it's not necessary for me to scream and shout. For an adult that is writing their own story, I'm like, I don't have to scream. I don't have to shout. you guys know what life needs to be. But for me, if I scream and shout, that means I'm actually no, I'm actually, if I go quiet, that means you guys are gonna think, what do we need to do now? Even with our dad, he knows. If he needs something, he doesn't need to shout or he doesn't need to do anything. He knows with NOMSA, you communicate your needs, and that's it. Not going around the bush or trying to blame or going to, we are in the UK, going to Germany and telling me about the past. I don't do that. Just write your own story is very, very important, because when you write your own story, the person you are dating or the person you are married to, they get excited because they get to know that person. They get to know the real story of who you are as a person. My spouse knows that if he wants to do something, he gets on with it. If he's going on about family, and I'm listening and I'm like, do you guys know how many people are actually losing families each and every day? So family is to hold on to each other, not to actually blame somebody or find mistakes. Mistakes are always there. So the good thing that makes us human is because we learn from whatever is called mistakes. So for me, it's a lesson. Every journey that I take is a lesson. Am I perfect? I'm not perfect. So that's why I choose to go quiet. Even with these speakers, sometimes I let them, I go quiet. When I send a message, we need to do this, and they don't reply to me, I go quiet, but I carry on in doing what I'm doing, what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't stop. And then they'll come back to me, oh, you remember that? I'm like, it's done. Because you have to write the story without blaming anybody. So those, Carol Anna, what do you do with those who are in a relationship? Because you were married for a very, very long time as well, Carol Ann. And your generation, that generation, and our generation, what do you think, where do we go wrong when it comes to relationship? Because to be honest with you, nowadays the people get married, they spend lots of money, and then the marriage doesn't last. 2 years, 3 years is gone. And for me, I don't understand. Like, you hear somebody, they're like, oh no, I'm getting married, they're celebrating, you celebrate with them. And then you don't see them, and then you meet them again, and they're like, oh, that one, he's in the bin. I'm like, just like that? The relationship is in the bin? I'm like, oh, okay. That's how this generation is like. So what advice, Carol Ann, what do you think?
They haven't actually identified what they want in a relationship. They haven't actually understood what their needs are. They haven't actually looked at how the relationship is in that moment. I mean, spending lots of money on a wedding, it's lovely. But does that really define the whole relationship? What's going to happen afterwards? You know, you build up to the wedding, you build up to there, but have you actually spoken about how the relationship is going to be after you've got married, after the wedding, after you might have been on a honeymoon or whatever? But have you talked about the relationship, how it's going to be after that point? And that's where the fallout is. That's where it falls apart, because you come back, you start getting into life again, and you haven't really brought out, well, what are your needs? Identified each needs and each person's needs and how they would like see the relationship being. And then when things start to get a bit sticky, and I wouldn't say go wrong, I'd say it's just that it's not working. Things are not working. arguments happen. Well, what is it that's causing the argument? Are you unhappy about something that you're not talking about? Are you being silent? Or are you shouting too much? Is there a constant nag going on? So it's being able to catch those patterns and actually writing about previous relationships and experiences and how they've gone. You can then identify unhealthy dynamics that have actually hindered you in the past. And once you've identified those, you'll be able to see that, you know, if you're replaying them, has that come up again in this relationship? Or is it something that you weren't even aware of in the beginning? But there will be patterns, there'll be something that you've done. And again, writing, it's not necessarily writing your story now, it's writing stories of relationships you've had and getting to spot the patterns. And that way you get to know yourself. But it is about being then able to express that, find the words. And actually by writing it, that's what helps you to find the words and be able to put it in a way that someone else can get. And as you say, it's inviting your partner into your world. It's being open. That's being vulnerable. And that then creates trust, because there has to be trust there for someone to be open and vulnerable and allow you into their world. And if there's no trust, that's where it all falls apart. And I realized that with my relationship, I didn't fully trust my ex-husband. As much as I said I did, and a big part of me did, there was an underlying niggle. And I think from my actions through the years and my thoughts, I didn't trust that we would stay together, or that he was being who he said he was, you know, that there were little things that were niggling me, but I never fully talked about it. And so those niggles just stayed there. Doesn't help. You need to be able to find a way of talking about them. So writing them to start with, really getting clear on them. And then even if you find that you're struggling to communicate, get help. Because half the battle is actually identifying it. You've identified it. Go and get help with being able to express it, with being able to share and explain it in a way that isn't creating blame and saying it's your fault or you do this to me. It's just saying that this isn't working for me. This is how I'm feeling when you do this, or this is my concerns. And yes, I don't trust you. You know, it's like, be honest. If trust isn't there, be honest. And if the other person wants to go into their childish behavior, you need to learn how to be just present to it. And have that expectation that they will become an adult and again find their way and say, look, this doesn't work. It's communicating, it's making a stand, and it's being open and honest, but it's having the courage to speak out and be with whatever that impact is, the consequences of that conversation. And that takes a lot in itself, to find that courage. That you don't need to do it alone. And this is where relationship coaching comes in. This is where writing your story. And this is where the work that I do helps you to find that courage to go deeper, to be able to shift in yourself what's been going on by writing it out. You're actually working on inner child things. And you actually find that somehow the conversation changes. Somehow, because you've changed, the conversation changes. The other person responds differently. I remember somebody I was working with, she was having a really tough time with her family and with her parents. She just couldn't speak with her mum or her dad. And we were working on her writing her story. So we were working on the basics, the way I work with helping people to write their story, but also bringing in what was happening with, you know, her relationship with her family. And all of a sudden she found that actually, there was one time she messaged back, she said, well, that was quite bizarre. I had a really great conversation with my dad. It just happened because she'd changed, you know, and therefore the dynamics changes. So this is where writing your story, diving into being able to unlock that writer within you, can help to unlock your relationships in a much more healthy way. Because you start to identify and become stronger and say, well, no, this doesn't work for me. This isn't what I want. I don't need to put up with this anymore, and make a stand for it, but in a much more healthy, wholesome way. And so that's really what something, you know, again, something else that this can do for you. But as you were saying, it's realizing your part in the fallout. Because when there's an argument happens, if you can realize your part in it,
it solves so much heartache.
You know, it helps.
Yeah.
Really, because you can take ownership of it. And once you take ownership, there's something stronger, the way you see, the way you stand, the way you hold yourself, rather than feeling that, oh, I can't do it.
And having said that, Carol Ann, as well, the battles, choosing your battles as well. Yes. You keep going, girl. I just wanted to say this, battles as well.
Absolutely. Choose your battles. Yeah. But I love what you're saying about, you know, when your daughter came in, you were just quiet. Because she had an expectation.
Yeah.
Of how you would be. And it's almost like that's what she was wanting.
And it's then like we started
wanting that reaction. She wants it. And it's like, not playing your game, lady. And it is recognizing the game that is being played and not rising to it, but not being angry with it or making it wrong. It's just going, I don't play that game.
No.
I don't play that game. You know the rules, and it's up to you
to
deal with your part, you know, in this, the fact that what you've done, you know, doesn't work. It isn't what is expected from you. And really, if you're going to be honest, it's being honest about, well, why were you late? Knowing the time you had to be and what stopped you from communicating. There's ways of being with it, and it's educating them in ways of being, because if she knew she was going to be later than she was supposed to be, there's communication that could have happened to let you know. And that is, again, that's being it's being authentic, but it's also being considerate. That's the word. It's about being considerate of the other person. And this in a relationship is important, because somebody likes to feel that they've been considered, they've been thought about. What, you know, the fact that if you're going to be late, the other person might be worrying about you. And is that fair? You know, is that really something that's healthy and wholesome in a relationship, to make somebody worry about you? And it's thinking about your part in, well, what are you doing, without making it wrong, as I keep saying. And, you know, it is just exploring it. And this is what writing your story can do. Writing down what happened, what was so. What did you do? What happened? What did they do? What did you feel? You know, put it into words. Find different ways of expressing it. But it will certainly help you to find the patterns that you perhaps hadn't even realized were happening, because there will be patterns happening, going on. So certainly, yes, yeah. Mistakes. You use the word mistakes. I hesitate to use the word mistake. Is it a mistake? Because actually, you're not present. There's a part of you that's not present in that moment. It's like people say, oh, it's an accident. There are no accidents. What happened because you weren't present in that moment. You made a mistake because you weren't present. Or did you actually subconsciously go, well, I know I've got to be in that time, I won't bother. You made a decision. You made a choice. It's one that if it didn't work or doesn't work, it's not a mistake. It's an opportunity to learn what actually was going on for you. What was your thought processes? What had you be late in that moment? Because you'd have made a decision and you might not have realized it. So it's actually helping you to dive into the unconscious part of what drives you, you know. So again, writing about it helps to really get deeper.
Yeah, I think it is very important, Carol Ann, for like what you're saying, that just go deep. And also for me, I always say, like when you were saying, you know, when you want to go deep, you have to, or fighting and things like that, you have to look at yourself first. And for me, is the things that I have learned before, looking at my past relationship and looking at how I selected men and looking at my dad. You know, my dad taught me a big lesson, and my stepdad, my dad was always a man who always smiled. He never ever told me off. He would tell me the principles of life, but he would never raise his voice. I don't remember witnessing my father raising his voice at any of the children. But then when he died, and I was like, now I became a parent, and I was like, how did he manage to actually do the things, his character, everything, the way he was behaving? How did he manage to do that? So I was like, okay, so then that means he found something about himself, his character. He was so grateful of life because with his mom, he was the only child he had. And then his dad, he had other children because my granddad remarried. So I was like, okay, so to him, we were very, very important. So that means my children are very, very important. I need to teach my children the principles of life. And also I need to learn the principles of life. That's when I went deep. And the first thing that I did, you know, the foundation, I needed to understand the foundation of a relationship. When I took Paul McKenna's program, the first thing the course was like, get rid of jealousy. And I was like, wow, are you telling me that I'm jealous? And the more I got deep on things, that's when I realized actually he wants me to accept my own life. not to actually look at somebody else. And because that can affect your well-being. When you look at somebody, you become jealous of that life. So I worked on my jealous thing, and the more I went deep, the more I was like, yeah, sometimes I think I do get jealous that why this one is married, why I'm not married, and things like that. But then I realized actually I'm happy with my life. At that moment, I was like, I'm so happy. I don't need that person in his life. And then I started realizing that my destiny is been written for me, is ready for me, is written by God. Why would I be jealous? Okay, I'm picking the wrong guys. And then I looked and I was like, oh yeah, I'm picking the wrong guys because of my dad. I'm looking for my dad. I was looking to date my father and my stepdad. I never got told off. My dad will never tell me off. My stepdad never told me off. All they did was sit down with me, explain the principles of life. If I choose not to listen, they will explain the consequences that is not going to affect them. They'll be like, no, sir. My dad will be like, I've married. My dad will be teaching me this, teaching me business and things. And my stepdad will be like, do you know the reason why I married your mother? And I'll be like, okay, tell me now. Why did you marry her? And she's like, because she's an independent woman. She works really hard and she's there for my family. She accepts my life for what it is. She knows the struggles that I've gone in life, and she accepted me for who I am. When I met her, my stepdad came from a very rich family. But when my mom met my stepdad, he wasn't like that. He lived a different life. So my stepdad will explain, I'll be like, oh my God. But the beauty of life, my mom will be like, when my stepdad start talking, they will get to wind up me. I'll be sitting there laughing. So he's my best friend, and we were the really best friend. And then when he died, my mom goes, how did you get to understand your dad? And I'll be like, which one are we talking about now? You'll be like, your stepdad. How did you get to understand him? I'll be like, Mom, everything he said, he made sense. Look at me where I am now, and look at if you look at my life, me, I just listen. I'll be like, bring it on. As long as you have money to cough up for me to change this life that you're preaching, I'm happy to do it. And I'll be like, I don't really like, he would describe me, his old life. I'll be like, this old life you're describing, I don't think I'm interested in it. But I'm interested in this one where you worked hard and improved your life. That's what I'm interested in. So every time, it's not that I didn't make anything wrong. Every time I try to go off with friends, I'll bring myself back and I'll be like, that's not what my parents are raising me. Then I will just go back. Even in a relationship, everything that I learn, I have to practice myself. Whatever I teach my clients, I help my clients with, I have to live that image myself. So this is what makes me the person that I am. If I teach my clients this, go back to your childhood, inner child, listen to your inner child, is everything that I have done myself. So a forgiveness, everything that you see on Facebook that I've put it up, forgiveness is everything that I have done. I've had to forgive. There are some things that in my life that I did or people did, I hold this, or in a relationship, many enters your life. They are good at making promises they can't keep. And if anyone is listening, please, when you enter a relationship is all about getting somebody, not making promises or hoping that person is going to fall in love with you because you're making promises. For me, what I believe is a relationship, or you enter a relationship, you'll find this woman of your dreams, you find this man of your dreams. And if he exists, it does exist because God created these unique guys and these unique men. When you do find them, have fun. Future, tell me your future. What, as long as a man has a vision, they need to have a vision anyway. By the way, a man is an architect in a relationship. A woman, she's a mentor. You mentor your husband to become, you bring the best in them, and the man does the same, bring the best in you. You bring the best on your children, you bring the best on your in-laws. If they don't like you, I'm afraid, don't chase them. You just have to focus on your life. So I believe that's what life is about. Carol Ann, you talked about shouting and nagging. I don't believe that a woman who goes to work 9 till 5 and they come home, they are interested in a man telling them what they did wrong. And I don't believe a man who goes to work 9 till 5 and they come home, or they have a business, they travel, they come home, they get told what they are not good at, what they are good at. You don't listen to me, shouting. I think a relationship, when you have a relationship, is all about valuing each other. It's all about communicating your needs. If you feel that the person, they don't listen, tell them you feel, be honest. I feel I'm being unheard. So that person would, mostly men, they think women, we are the same. When we communicate with them, they think we are all like this. They, oh, here we go again. But we are not like that. So try to make your men not to treat you like other women. Try to show them your uniqueness. And also women, we are actually created, we are intelligent. We don't forget anything. So when we want to create our lives, we create our lives. That's why I'm saying, men, when you meet women, don't make promises, because a woman will hold you to that. If you want to get married, don't say we're going to get married in a year's time or 2 years' time. How do you figure that out? Because the life has challenges, the finances, if things, a woman wants to get married with 600 guests and you had an idea of the marriage is about you and her, and you cannot fulfill that promise, she's going to hold you, she's going to nag you and kill you with the stress. So the best way is to communicate, honey, you want to invite these 600 guests. I don't think these guests, I know them. So what wouldn't it be nice if we were to invite people really we are close to, we have intimacy with, we are really, really close to, and we invite them coming and celebrate our special day with us, spend the whole day, because we know these people, we can communicate with them. Wouldn't it be beautiful? So just communicate your needs. Sometimes people get married and I'm like, are you excited? And they're like, no, she is, not me. I'm like, okay, this is funny. And then you ask the girl, are you excited? Sometimes it's either the man, he wants to do this thing, but the other person, they're not communicating, but they are going through the wedding. So why marry somebody if you're not going to communicate, if you're not going to let them? For me, when I did Paul McKenna's program and then I took a psychology degree, I was like, I am no longer following a friend. I need to understand my uniqueness, and I need to be grateful for my creator who created me to be the person that I am today. And I made that vow that I will never, ever take my life for granted. And when I met Martin, it's like he wants to come and see me. If I don't have makeup, it doesn't matter. I'll just open the door. If he says, Nomsa, I'm around, are you at home? I'm at home. Come and see me. I don't have makeup. I'm sitting on my pajamas. He'll just come in and I'll just laugh. If we are listening to the radio, the music plays, I love the music. If the song I like, I am dancing and I'm singing and I'm rocking, and he's like, that's me. Because I'm no longer worrying about what people think. If I'm dressed up for fun, he calls me and he says, Nomsa, would you like to go out? If I feel like I don't want to go out, I'll be like, no, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't want to go out today. I just had to be me. And 2 months later, we were dating. He goes, Nomsa. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're not fake, are you? And I was like, What do you mean? I wasn't aware what I was doing, but I was being me. And it was like, you're actually letting me get to know you. I have never, ever met a girl that actually behaves like you. And I was like, before, if you had met me before, you wouldn't have met this Nomsa, because when I was at home, I lived my life. I'm very close to my parents. I'll hold my mom's hand, and then I'll spend time with my dad, my grandparents, and go out, and my friends will be like, oh, that one, she's with it. She's not going to come out. She's with her family. She's with her parents. But then when I got a job, start earning money, start going out, meeting friends, boyfriends, my character changed. I was now no longer me. I did things to please my friends, to please my family. I don't please my family, actually, I'll be lying. My family always let me be. So I'll please my friends, but then I wasn't happy because I wasn't creating the relationship that I want. Or if I meet a guy, if a guy tells me what he's looking for, I quickly change my story to what he's looking for, because I like the guy, is good looking. And I ask him, what do you do for work? I get excited. If he's got this exciting job, I get excited because it's so beautiful when you tell your friends that, oh, you know what, I met this guy and he earns good money. He can take me shopping. He can do all these things for me. It's so beautiful. But then when I split up with my ex, I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to put my needs first. So if I then met the guy, they have to go through the screening without them knowing the screening. That's why I became a matchmaker. I will ask the guy questions, and I am good at being playful. I trained myself in front of the mirror. I am very, very good when I'm going on a date, if I can ask him anything that I want to ask without making them feel intimidated, ask them a friendly way, playful way, so that they feel connected to me, and then they will answer the questions that I need to hear, and I will answer the questions that they want to know. But not answering them, telling them what I believe they want to hear. What is the real me? What is Nomsa? What makes Nomsa? Then I will let the guy know, if I'm not for him, it's fine. I don't have to feel offended. But some people, they completely change everything. I don't know, Carol, and I'm sure you've had friends that you've witnessed. They tell you about the guy, you meet them, you're like, but that's not what you were looking for. People do that. Mm-hmm. Looking for something completely different, that matches their values and beliefs. When they meet somebody, the guy is good looking, he's got this, and they just date them for that. Martin is like David Beckham. When you see Martin, is like a copy of David Beckham. But when I met him, that did not work. Girls who are watching, I was like, he's handsome, but that's not what I'm looking for. He goes to the gym 7 days or 5 days a week. That's not what I'm looking for. His looks does not matter to me. But what matters is what's on the inside of this person. Will I actually be able to become me with this person? I asked the question, the guy, I could see he was sweating. He was like very uncomfortable. I was like, no, don't worry. And then I'll ask him a different question. And then I was like, now the final question is, I have a daughter. So how do you feel dating somebody? You haven't got children yourself, and your parents, they know you haven't got children. How are they going to react? Now you're dating somebody who's got kids. And he was like, I love children. I was like, are you sure you love children? You know what I did, Carol Ann? I let him babysit my daughter. Honestly, he tells me he loves children. I was like, okay,
Okay,
cool. So I have a word with Hope, and I was like, Hope, Martin seems to love children. So mommy's gonna go out with her girlfriends. So Martin is gonna babysit you. How does that sound? She goes, that's awesome. So then I let him babysit. Actually, he was good. He was babysitting her. He was good, but I didn't want him to babysit. I would have easily asked my friends to look after my daughter, but I just wanted what he's actually saying is what he is. Yeah, with Hope. So he didn't actually pretend. He actually loved Hope. And he was like, they just got on really well. So that's what I'm saying is when you meet a guy or women or men, you meet a woman, don't try to fit in with their values. Just be you. Let them, because at the end of the day, if you have money, the looks fade away. The money, the situation, circumstances, they don't stay the same. It changes. But you have to fall in love within the person. When you do fall in love with that person, it means if the person is a millionaire and now they are facing problems, it means you still love them because that's why you've chose. So it's very, very important. It's the lesson that I've learned the hard way. I used to think when a man is earning money, he has a house, he has a nice car, he's good looking, he's good to go, he's good to date me. But then I realized it doesn't work like that. More goes into relationship.
Mm.
What do you think, Carol? And it's 7 minutes past 2. What do you think?
It's saying about having fun, about it comes down to trust, and it is about getting to know their values.
Yeah.
But it's not about fitting in with their values, as you say. What's important is you knowing what your top values are, knowing what their top values are. And if there is a clash, it's about talking about it and saying, well, how can we work together? So you make it work because you're open and you're honest about your values. And it is about being able to honor someone else's values, but not change yours so that you fit in with them.
No.
Or them doing the same for you.
Yep.
It's about honoring each other's, understanding it, and working with that. And maybe coming together with something and say, okay, well, what's our top value going to be that we're together on? Find it. There will be a value in there that you could bring to the top that would be something you could have, which is together. And then the rest can be different, but you've got this top value that holds you together in that respect. Yeah. But it is having that communication, and it is knowing what your values are, and actually being able to explore your values, get to know yourself and the patterns that it enables you to perhaps also come to closure, a place of closure on things that have happened in the past, because then it's a letting go. You can have closure on it, can let it go. It's not hanging over you anymore. It's not in you, impacting you in any way. And therefore there's forgiveness, and you can then move on and evolve and recognize that your needs do evolve. Yeah. They don't stay the same. And so if you recognize or you see that your partner's needs seem to be changing, rather than going, but this was your needs before. No, this is what you're saying. Why are you now saying this? Yeah, we grow. We grow each day. We grow. We evolve. Yeah. And it's allowing that time rather than holding on to, no, it has to be this way, trying to control things. Recognize there's an evolution that happens. And the same with yourself. It's okay for your needs to change. And they will change over time because your situation changes. And as you grow and you get to know yourself more, you start to realize, well, actually, no, my needs are changing, and then communicate it. So I just like to read a quote. It's quite a long quote, but it's actually something that, because if you're not being honest, you're not really open with yourself, there's something that happens with your physical body. There is you're compromising your immune system as well. And so if you're not healthy physically, your relationship can't be healthy either, because again, there's something that's hidden. There's something that's not being authentic. And this, I thought, was a lovely quote here. It says, the miraculous connection between writing and the immune system results from cracking through inhibition. It seems that when we don't speak the truth of our experience, we inhibit our emotions, and that inhibits our immune function. Keeping secrets and maintaining denial require physical energy. Energy our bodies could use in healthier ways were it available. That's Peggy Tabor-Millen. So it's something to think about. You know, if you're taking up energy that could be used in more healthier ways, it's more healthier ways that your relationship can grow and survive. So just keep writing. Think about if the things aren't working, go and write it down. Go and write your story and go back to past relationships. Just write something and have fun. As Noms has said, have fun. It's about having fun in the relationship. It's having fun in the exploration. It's an adventure. It's a journey. It's an exploration. You know, have fun with it.
Life is too short as well. You know, it's, of course, no relationship is perfect. You're going to argue in that relationship. But it's about, you know, when the coronavirus was happening, everyone was like mourning about it, having everybody in the house. So for me, when I looked at my family, it was like, I was so grateful. Because I knew that every second, thousands and thousands of families were losing. And I was like, do you think I need to worry about my spouse annoying me or the children annoying me? I have a big thing to worry about, which was coronavirus. I would just be so grateful when I look at my family. It's all about switching your mindset to something that is important and understanding the foundation of a relationship. And when you do meet somebody that you love, don't take them for granted. Cherish that relationship by communicating your needs. Tell them how you want them to treat you, and be grateful. Some people, if they forget your birthday, don't try to kill them. It's normal. Honestly, it's normal. A wedding anniversary, it's normal. People, they will be like, well, how can you forget my wedding? Yes, they do, because we are human. There's so much things going on. So they can miss, not because they don't love you. It's just happened. But you know what I do myself? On my birthday, I tell everyone what I really, really need for my birthday. If I don't need anything, I tell them that I don't need anything, because I don't want to go around and saying they didn't buy me this, they didn't buy me this. So I let them know, this is what I desire for my birthday. No matter how small or how big it is, if they can afford it, they can afford it. Like, I wanted a new phone for my birthday, but I realized, actually talking to Vodafone, how expensive. I was like, I don't need a phone. I've already got a phone. And I said to them, yeah, they were willing to pay. And I was like, I don't think I need the phone. I've changed my mind. I didn't need it. And did I ask them to give me that money? And I said to them, no, when you can keep the money when I need it. When I need the money, I'll come back. I'll come for it. So that, because you have to communicate your needs. And for me, my needs, like understanding, we didn't talk about the language of love as well. My language of love is not present. If you buy me present and you think you're going to please me, no, you won't. But it's a quality time. Give me time, then you pleasing me. So my children, they know, my spouse, they know that a family is important to us. And if you go and buy me expensive thing and do you think it's gonna make Nomsa happy, I just look at it. It doesn't trigger my feelings or my emotions. I don't connect with it. But if it's something that you say, oh, Nomsa, I'm gonna come and spend time with you. I'm so happy. Drinking that hot chocolate with you makes me happy. Because that's how I think that's my childhood. Honestly, now people come back and say, even my sister, she goes, what was my grandmother thinking? My grandmother will sit down with me, age of 9, she will communicate with me like she's communicating with an adult. And I'll just listen and ask questions. And my dad and my stepdad will do the same. My mom, she will just do the same. They will just communicate. And that's what relationship is about. But some people, their love language is the receiving gift. And that's not wrong. It's beautiful as well. It's just understanding. If I buy this person a gift, will it make them happy? But then how do you find out somebody's love language?
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
There's 5, isn't there? I think.
Yeah, you have to ask them.
So that's something perhaps we could talk about in another talk, because that is a whole another game about what is their love language.
Yes, it's more communicating with the person, and they'll let you know what they like, what they don't like. So it's that whole thing.
Yeah, but you've got to know yours first. Yeah. If you don't know it, then you can't communicate it.
No.
And if you can't communicate it, then how can the other person satisfy your needs? They can't.
Yeah.
So just write out your story. Get to know your needs.
Anyway, Carol Ann, any words of encouragement, please, for our audience? Anyway, guys, those who are watching, I think I still need to record what we were talking about. I need to record a video for my website. So I might come back UK time. I think I might come back at 4 p.m. and record that website of what the coaching at Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency and Ngozi Talk Show, what is about. Because my web designer wants me to, he wanted to use another video on YouTube. I said, no, I will record it. So I'm going to record it live so I can give it to him so he can get it, because if I record it private on Restream, that means he had to download it and then the quality won't be good. But if I give him the link, then he can just use the link on the website. So I'm going to those who are interested about what does the coaching really cover. If you go to somebody or really interested in getting to know the foundation of a relationship in life, foundation of life. So that's what I'll be recording. So you can come back and listen to it, or you can come back and watch me live while I record it. So I'll be here to record it. I have to come back. So Carol Ann, our audience have been enjoying your conversation, and they would really love to know who is Carol Ann and where can we find Carol Ann. Do you have any words of encouragement before we leave, Carol Ann, as well?
As I say, I'm Carol Ann, and you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, Carol Ann Cooper. And I have a Facebook group called Get Your Book Written. And I think what I'm about at the moment, I'm in a bit of I'm doing this with it. It's a shift. Something's evolving. And so I'm going to stay with that. And I think my words that I leave you with is really get to know you, yourself, your needs, and allow your needs to evolve. Be happy with something evolving. Be comfortable with it evolving. And be able to express what is changing for you. What are your needs? What were your needs? What are your needs? But certainly using writing is a very powerful tool to get to the root and to the bottom of it. So just play with it. I'm about bringing play and playfulness back into the game of writing. I think what's coming to me now is I'm about bringing play and playfulness back into the game of relationships, because it's all a game. So just enjoy playing the game.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So for me, my audience that I leave you with, I think there's a quote that I thought about yesterday, and it's going to be in my book. The choices you make in life shape both your current position and the subsequent chain of events. So that is the chain that's the quote that I leave you with. And also, if you are somebody who is struggling, you're looking for love and you think, well, it's not coming, but others, people are married, I'm not. And there's a prayer that I'm going to leave you guys with. Is by Dr. Olukoya. And you can't use this prayer if you are not prepared for the truth, because this prayer, it displays, because you are asking God, if you're a Christian, you're a believer, even if you're not a non-believer, but you're tired of being tired. You are tired of finishing the last. You are tired of having events in your life that you don't understand and you cannot explain it. This is the prayer, raw power of God, fall upon me. You are asking God to fall upon you, the Holy Spirit to guide you through. And the danger of this prayer, you have to repeat it every single day, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day, a few times a day, reading the book of Psalms, whatever comes in your mind. And just don't ask about married if you are not married. Don't ask about if your relationship is not working. Don't ask about why. Just call him out. Ask him to show you where your life is and be prepared to actually put the puzzle, like Carol Ann saying, life is a game. So be prepared to do that. And the other one is the Pentecostal power overshadow me. That's a prayer point, to overshadow me. And the other one is, oh God, ordain my feet like Joshua. You know Joshua's story in the Bible. And then he ordained my dreams like Joseph's dreams. You know the story of Joseph. Joseph went through trials and tribulations, but he never ever took plan B. He had the plans, living his life in a palace, he had this vision. So no matter what life thrown at him, he didn't give up. So if you're single, looking for love, raw power of God to fall upon me. If you can fast and have a quiet place, is even more powerful. So you can use that. ROW, raw power of God. You can actually find his prayer on YouTube as well. And they keep doing it, and I keep doing it. And the other one that I forget is the prophetic power, fall upon me. You are asking the power. When you say prophetic power, there are prophecies that are everywhere. But you are asking the power. You're not actually asking to be a prophet. You are asking the revelation to fall upon you, the power that reveals the unhidden events that are meant to affect your life, or unhidden glory that you don't see, that is hanging while you think your life is not beautiful. So you can ask for prophetic power to fall upon me. So I do all those things. When my website wasn't working, this woman, she's the one that taught me to pray when I'm praying, and then look at the event, how they unfold. So I pray now and I look at the event, and God will show me the things that are meant to happen, or my glory that is hidden that I don't see, for me to actually grab it. So that's what the prayer is about. Go on YouTube, I think you can find it, and just use it. It helps. It doesn't help just to, it's not a miracle, but things will be displayed. But you have to follow the instructions. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless. And also, when I'm saying follow the instructions, when you ask God to fall upon you, somebody else will try to deceive you. So you have to be aware which one is the real God, which one is the deceiver. So just be aware of that as well. So we are here at Nkosi Talk Shows, and Live with Grace, everyone, and God bless you. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I'll see you guys at 4 or 5. That time, I'll come and record my coaching video that I need to put on the website so you guys can know what is really the foundation of a relationship. Why do I have to know all these things? Why do I have to communicate my needs? So I will be explaining step by step the coaching process at Nkosi Talk Show, Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency, what we do.